huh? Say, we're going to go to Detroit. We did a workshop in Detroit.
Right.
We're going to go down to Detroit. And I went, in kilts.
Oh.
Yep, at midnight. Don't. No, it's going to be good. No. Listen to the old man who lives here. Don't. Oh, no. So they don't listen to me, and they go and they went up to the bellhop, the guy in the front of the hotel. It's an airport hotel, so there's always a guy up front there. And they said, we need a cab. We're gonna go down to Detroit. And I'm just standing there going, no. And he looked at me. This black guy. He looks at me. He's like, I'm like, I know. That's it. It's like, where do you want to go? And Lopez goes, we want to go to the point where we get out of the cab and it's like Saving Private Ryan. I'm like, no. And the guy just kind of giggles and goes, okay, brother, we can do that for you. And I'm like, no, don't encourage him. And so I looked at Lopez, and he's in a kilt, and he's got the dirk, and he goes, and I went, you got a fucking knife? And he goes, all right. And he goes, yeah, is that a problem? I'm like, yeah. In America, in Detroit, you've got a knife? Hell yes, it is. And he goes, oh, will they throw me in jail? I'm like, well, maybe. It depends on how they're feeling that day, right? Your best hope is that they just take it from you and you never see it again. He goes, oh, I'm okay with that. I'm like, no, but they could throw you in jail. Well, they can't if I give it. No, you don't understand. Detroit police, they don't give a shit. You're in jail. He goes, and I said, well, I mean, he goes, well, what if, because I'm not from here, maybe I'll get away with it. And I'm like, well, I suppose if you show them your Holland, your Amsterdam or whatever, the ID, then they might. He goes, ID? Like, oh my God! Right? Are you kidding me? You know that. Yes. He had no ID on him, nothing. And I'm like, oh, this is just not going to go good, And so finally, I could not convince him not to go. And I said, you're going to go. You got my number. Call me. If something goes wrong, off you go.
That was a problem. He said if, not
if. Why no? And then they went back in, and someone comes up to me and goes, we have a problem. I'm like, yay! As if we didn't already, right? What's the problem? The cops have been called on one of our students. Oh my God. What for? And we went to the place, and there he is, on the ground, passed out drunk. I'm like, shit. Well, he's bad, but because they couldn't, the hospital, or the hotel people could not sort of like get him up and moving, they had to call the EMTs and then the cops, of course. And so we're there, we're like, oh, this is not good. We talked to him a little bit, and he's like, yeah, where are you staying? Because we just want to like get you to your room and be done with this. I am in room. I'm like, oh my gosh, really? So unfortunately, before we get anything lucid out of him, the EMTs and the cops show up. Like, oh, this is good. I know we have to leave. And so the cop says, where are you staying? And he's like, I'm in room 123. And I'm like, I'm betting that's not his room. I don't think so.
You want to continue this outside?
We'll continue it outside.
Before we get kicked out.
We are kicked out.
Yeah, we are officially.
Yep.
So far we've got a guy with in a kilt, a 6'3" guy in a kilt with a knife.
With a knife and those
going
big
to downtown.
braids. Like downtown Detroit.
Yeah.
And so, all right. So now here I am, dealing with this really drunk guy. He's starting to vomit a little bit. All right. I'm dealing with this really drunk guy. I'm like, okay. And now the police and the EMTs have shown up, and they're doing what they're trying to take vitals and stuff like that, and Jared has now shown up too, which is always brilliant, right?
Why not?
right? And so at one point the cops kind of get a little bit. I'm like, okay, what's your name? And he kind of gives him his name. How old are you? He He goes, 19. And they immediately, they look at me and go, and I'm like, he's a student. I say, I'm not responsible. Wait a minute, you've got his license in your hand. Why don't you look at it? And the guy looks at it and he goes, all right, he's 22. I'm like, thank you. Why'd you ask him? He's clearly stupid. Look at the ID. Well, the cops, one of them's laughing, the other's pissed. You know, good cop, bad cop, right?
Right.
The EMTs are just giggling. And they finally reach a point where they're like, okay, we're gonna need to take some vitals. And they propped him up and he's sitting now against somebody's door. I don't know who the hell it is. The front desk is getting call after call because he's bitching out in the hallway and these people are waking up going, what the hell's going on, right?
Right.
The EMT's going, we're just gonna take your vitals. And he shoves one and goes, come on, bitches! Which way, Jared and I just went, oh. Right? He shoved an EMT. Boom, cotton cuffs come out. Slam, slam, right? And we're like, oh, this is just not getting better. And finally, Jared decides he's going to solve this. And he's like, okay. And I don't remember the guy's name. He's like, okay. You need to let us know what room you're in. He's like, I'm going to fight you. And he's like, no, you understand. You're already in trouble.
I did not.
We can alleviate all of this by just sending you back to your room. And the cops went, no, we're beyond that. He's like, hey, I'm trying to deal. It was actually an EMT that went, you don't understand. He goes, I'm trying to deal with this. Thank you, Brandon. And I grabbed her and went, you don't talk like that to Detroit police. No. No. So I grabbed him aside and went, I'm sorry, officers, let me talk to you for a second. Because you don't talk like that. Yeah, I know if you're from New York and that's cool, but you don't do that here. People disappear, right?
Right.
And we were chatting after all was said and done. They finally boxed him up, put him in a wheelchair, got him the hell out of here, took him to the hospital. We had to inform the guy that he came with at 3 in the morning, call him down and go, this is what happened, whatever. And Jared goes, don't worry about it. They're not going to prosecute. And I went, really? And he goes, he did shove an EMT and they put him in cuffs and everything, but the EMT actually has to press charges for him to be prosecuted. I said, Jared, no, not in Detroit.
Yeah.
What'll happen is this, if they feel like it, mind you, is they will arrest his ass after he's been hospitalized and throw him in jail until they can contact said EMT and get it cleared. If they feel like it.
Right.
You know, it depends on the way out the door. If the EMT says, I'm not going to bother with it, don't worry about it, he's just drunk, they might be happy and go, less paperwork, but you never know with Detroit cops. That's just how it goes. Next morning we did find him. He showed up and I'm like, how you doing? I am so sorry. I'm like, oh no. It was entertaining.
Right.
Right? And he's like, I'll never come to another event. I'm, no, that's not how to rectify this. Is not coming to another event. How to rectify this is just not doing it again. But you understand, we will make fun of you for the rest of your existence. He's like, of course.
Yeah.
Like,
not living it down.
And then through all this, I had gone to bed by 3 in the morning and forgotten about Paul and Lopez and I walked down in the morning and I see them at breakfast. I'm like, oh, I was a little worried. Did they ever get back? And I saw them at breakfast. I'm like, oh, you guys made it. And Steve goes, what the fuck? Why didn't you answer your phone, bitch? And I'm like, it never rang. He goes, the hell it didn't. I'm like, well, hang on a minute. Ooh, voicemail. It's from you. Steve goes, oh shit. And I hit play and it said, you could hear this. Doc, they're shooting at us. Come get us, Doc, they're shooting at us.
Oh my God.
What the fuck happened? And Lopez picks up his phone and goes, it all started when we were taking a picture of this car. And I looked at it and went, that's a drug dealer. And he goes, you know him? Of course I don't know him. But look at the car. This is a drug dealer. What the fuck did you do? Well, it's his cool car. I wanted to get a picture in front of it. So I leaned in front of him. Like, you touched his car?
In a kilt?
He goes, yeah. And I'm like, wait, well, what happened? He goes, well, you came out and said, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, what did you do? And he goes, I'm taking a fucking picture. I'm like, no, no. He said, give me your phone. I'm like, fuck you. I'm like, no. And they got in an altercation, and the drug dealer like threw a punch at him. And you guys said, so what'd you do?
Oh shit.
Fucking, I blocked it, and I picked his ass up, threw him on the car hood, ripped off his antenna, and beat him with it.
Oh shit.
3 of his friends were standing by, and so Paul and Jack both looked at each other and went, and ran. And Lopez ran after, and you hear this. He goes, and they were shooting. I'm like, no shit, they were shooting. Why didn't you come right home? Well, we tried. But every time we ran into an alley, and every time we came out of the alley, their car would come around the corner. We'd have to run back. They spent like 2 hours or 3 hours hiding from them until they could get a cab and get the fuck back. And I went, oh, he goes, you said to call you if you were. I'm like, I had my own problems.
I was busy.
I was busy. And by the time you called, it was time for me to finally go to bed. Had you called me an hour or so prior, I was standing next to cops. We could have dealt with this. It would have been all taken care of. So to this day, every time I go, oh, call me to Steve, he's like, yeah, right, fuck. Yeah, that's right, bitch. Like,